Greetings and salutations, and welcome to episode number 218 of Ref the District. I'm the Stoner. That's Trev. That's Trev over there. Nathan's out tonight. Sorry that Nathan isn't here with us this evening. He had a little bit of an emergency room visit last night and is still recovering. So what I want you all to do, and we'll mention this a few times throughout, make sure you leave a message in here for Nathan. He's probably watching. He's probably going to chime in a little bit. Give him a little message. Say, what's up, Nathan? Hope you're feeling better. And go ahead, and when you do that, hit the like button. Hit that subscribe button. Every time you think, if Nathan was here, he would set these two straight.
Yeah.
So every time you think of that, make sure you're hitting that like button or subscribe button or hitting the share button to share this content with your fellow Commanders friends. Again, I'm Stoner. That's Trev over there. We are a proud member of the Believe Network, sponsored, of course, by BetOnline, because BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for betting on all the madness. Even if your bracket is busted, probably mine, probably Trev's, sure. BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with a free Sweet 16 bracket and live betting on every remaining tournament game. With the largest selection of odds on everything from college basketball to MLB, NHL, and MMA, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every Cinderella story to every hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. We've got an awesome show for everybody tonight. Draft is 1 month away. It is exactly 4 weeks from tomorrow. So we're going to be talking all kinds of draft stuff. Later on in the cool down, we will be talking about if the Commanders don't draft an edge, then who might they actually draft, or what position might they actually draft? That's later on the cool down. So get your sort of thoughts together on who Washington might draft at 29, up or down. That might not be an edge rusher. During the game, a little bit later on during the game, we've got this really cool chart that we're going to go over that sort of shows the value of either trading up, trading back, and or staying put at 29, and sort of how these guys make these decisions as they go along. We're going to talk about that sort of, and right at the very beginning, Locked On had this great comment here as Trev seems to have lost his connection. So you got just me. That's bad news for you all because I got nobody to check me. But he talks about how value is determined by whether or not these picks become a contributor to your team, not by which picks you receive in a trade. We're going to hit on that a little bit later. So we're going to keep that right over there in our starred comments so that we can refer back to it later. In the warm-up, though, we're going to talk all about the edge rushers. Who are those edge rushers that are going to be available at pick number 29? And if they are available, because we don't know which ones are going to be available, who do you think Washington should take? And so speaking of what Washington should do at 29, you can see right in there, if you've popped in here, there is our poll question, which says, what would you like to see Adam Peters do in the 2025 draft? Do you want to see him move up for a difference maker? Because 29, I don't know that you're going to get a difference maker there. Do you want to see him move down to acquire more picks, or do you want to see him stay right there at 29 and make that pick? And so we will talk about that a little bit later in the show. But as what sometimes happens, there we go, Trev is back. What sometimes happens when dad is away, kids might sometimes play, right? So Nathan isn't here to keep us in line and such. But I do want to, before we get into a few things there, Trev, that I want to talk about with you, let's welcome everybody who is here in the chat. Locked On's here. Scooby from overseas. I guess, Scooby, are you coming into town, into Oklahoma to watch the Thunder? Are you coming into DC to watch the Thunder? Let us know what you mean by seeing Nathan Saturday with the Thunder, of course. JG's in the house, of course. Appreciate you, JG. Jersey Slim, of course, is here. Gus is here with his prayers. F Dallas as well, giving Nathan some love there. Scooby is doing the same. So Jersey's got a little bit in there. Uptown's in the house. So we appreciate everybody who is who's popping in here and making their selves known. Trev.
Yeah.
Before we get into the Commanders, we're going to talk a lot of Commanders. We're going to talk a lot of draft because we know that, the draft is 4 weeks from tomorrow. However, we are right in the middle of March Madness.
I know. It doesn't feel like it, but we are.
Well, it doesn't feel like it for you, maybe, with maybe your team sort of sitting on the sidelines. But I got two questions for you, Trev. I want to talk about this for a second. Little March Madness. First of all, how did you feel about North Carolina making the tournament? If you don't know, Trev's team is North Carolina.
Yep.
And how did you feel about them making the tournament when it seems like everybody in the country didn't like that they did make the tournament?
Just haters. I mean, West Virginia made a case, but I mean,
sure.
Come on, we had a nice little finish of the season, 1 of 8 the last 10 games, and we're North Carolina. They're not going to put us out. I mean,
we're North Carolina. We're a blue blood.
Exactly.
We deserve to be in.
I will say this: in all my years of fandom of the Tar Heels, I've never experienced a play-in game where I'm rooting for my team in a play-in game.
Wow. That's
kind of knew we weren't going to go that far. I had a Sweet 16 at least. Or at the max, I should say. I thought we could have beaten Ole Miss, but apparently not. But I knew it was coming. I mean, we were playing game for Pete's sake. We got smoked by Duke 3 times. So it is what it is. We were a young team. RJ Davis was like a 20th year senior for us. We're a young team. A lot of transfer stuff's happening now. So yeah, it is what it is. I didn't do a bracket. Life's been kind of crazy for right now. We do a bracket. We're doing kind of game by game. So I wanted St. John's to go farther. That didn't happen.
Yeah,
I hate Duke. They look really good. Hate to say
they
it.
do.
Houston looks really good. They're very, very physical.
Come on, get to the 2 best teams in the tournament. Go ahead.
Florida's still in the tournament,
yes,
right? Yep. And then is Auburn still in the tournament?
I think they are, but I don't care about them.
I know. I'm just avoiding the Sparty. Michigan State's still in it. Tom Izzo is 85,000 years old, coaching the Michigan State Spartan team, and they're pretty impressive. So now it's wide open. Now that the Blue Bloods are gone, UConn's out, Carolina's out. So now it's wide open.
So just to close the loop for Scooby, he says Leeds United plays Swansea City on Saturday. So that's Nathan's team against Scooby's team. All right, makes sense now. I thought maybe you were coming in town to watch Oklahoma City Thunder or something. But getting back to the tournament, of course, which I love this year's tournament. But before I get to my teams, I had another question on top of that.
Yeah.
For North Carolina.
Okay.
Do you not feel a little bit of shame that the director of, or I don't know what his title is, but the guy who's in charge of getting teams into the tournament is also the president of North Carolina?
I mean,
isn't there a little bit of shame in that?
No, there's no shame in our game at all.
The same guy who's in charge of who gets into the tournament, he leads that whole group of who gets into the tournament, is also the president of the University of North Carolina.
Amen.
And North Carolina gets in when nobody thought that they should get in.
Well, it is what it is. We were the 11th seed for a reason.
No shame in that then, huh?
No shame. No, it's just the way the cookie crumbles. We can't control that.
All right. So let me add on to this then. Hubert Davis.
He got to go.
He's got to go?
I'm done. He's been there for a long time as an assistant, then took the reins over after good old Roy. Did some good things, but here lately, he got to go.
Already, huh?
Yeah, I don't think he really knows how to figure out lineups and rotations very well.
Yeah.
To be honest, so yeah.
Well,
got
I'm a Florida guy, also a Michigan State guy. Both of my teams are still dancing in the Sweet 16. Florida's a 1 seed and has got Maryland this weekend. So
Woo!
I've created a few enemies around here with everybody around here rooting for Maryland. Me being a Florida guy, but also I'm a Michigan State guy. I have two teams. Sue me, I don't care. I love having both of my teams who are in there in the Sweet 16. Florida struggled to get past UConn, but UConn
they did it.
So tough.
I know.
They are so tough. And
I just don't like Dan Hurley.
Yeah, don't like Dan Hurley either as well. But I think Florida's got a. I'll be perfectly honest. This maybe is a little bit biased, but I think Florida is going to blow out Maryland.
I do too.
Because Florida in that game against UConn, UConn runs the exact offense, which is the weakness of Florida's defense. Because Florida is a switching defense and UConn runs this offense where it forces you to constantly switch, and Florida was just getting confused all the time. Maryland doesn't run that type of offense. Maryland's not deep. Florida's very deep. Anyway, I think Florida's going to wipe Maryland off the court.
Yeah, I think
and then Michigan State's got a tough one. If Michigan State wins and Michigan wins, they play each other to see who goes to the Final Four. Yeah. And then just one more thing about Michigan State. Last time a Big Ten team won the national championship was in the year 2000.
Mateen Cleaves.
That's right. Mateen Cleaves, his squad of Michigan State, right? Which do you know who they beat, by the way?
Arizona?
Florida. That was a tough day for me. It was tough, but it was great. I couldn't lose either way. But listen to this comparison from the year 2000 to the year 2025 for Michigan State. The number of players who averaged 10 plus minutes a game.
Yeah.
10 then, 10 now.
Wow.
The leading scorer in the team in 2000 was a left-handed senior. That was Morris Peterson at that time.
Mo Pete.
And this year is also a left-handed senior, Jayden Daniels. Big Ten losses in the year 2000. Sparty had 3. In 2025, Sparty also had 3. Did they win the Big Ten both 2000 and 2025? Not the tournament, but the Big Ten regular season.
You bet your butt they did.
Both teams in the year 2000 had a freshman named Richardson. Richardson. Jason Richardson in 2020, and his son this year, Jace Richardson. Just saying. Freshmen, both freshman studs. The NCAA tourney bracket quad that they were in, bottom left, both times, 2000 and 2025.
Oh, my God.
Where did they go in round 1 and 2 in 2000? Cleveland. And in 25, Cleveland.
Stop playing right now.
Their round 2 opponents was a team from the Mountain West in the year 2000, also in the year 2025.
What?
The round 2 opponent coach's name in 2000 was Richard. Also in 2025 was Richard, as in Richard Pitino. And in 2000, of course, Michigan State won the national championship. There you go. It's all lining up for Michigan State to make another run.
You lose.
Until they lose. Man, I'm excited. I'm excited about it.
You should be.
To have 2 teams in it. And,
congratulations.
Yeah, sorry North Carolina's gone.
Someone else has to win. We can't always be there.
All right, let's get back into the Commanders. I know everyone's in here and wants to talk.
Let's do it.
NFL draft. So what we're going to talk about here in the warm-up, Trev, is we're going to talk about who Washington could possibly select at 29. Okay. First, before that, though, I want to go to the poll. And again, the poll question was, what would you like to see Adam Peters do in the draft? Move up, move down, or stay? And right now, the poll that's winning is move down to acquire more picks at 53%. So make sure you vote on what you think that Adam Peters should do. Trev, which way are you? Are you a move up to get a difference maker?
Yeah.
Which of course is going to cost you
Yeah.
more draft picks.
Right.
Move down to acquire more picks, or just stay at 29 and select either best player available or your need.
Well, according to reports, this draft class is pretty deep for the most part. Um, I'm pretty sure you can get some studs in the later first round, early second round. So just stay put. If we
Yeah.
move up, like you said, we got to give up more draft capital, and we already
Yeah.
did that. Going after Larry Tunsil and Debo Samuel, so we already did that. Trading back to get more draft picks, cool, but you could also take the huge risk of missing out on some players on your board. You're taking a huge risk of hoping that they're there. That when you move back to the spot wherever you want to move back to, hopefully they're still there. I know people are kind of upset because we don't have that many draft picks this year, and they probably want more. But if you move back and get more, those guys you're picking aren't going to be day one contributors. I don't imagine. I think that's more of a building through the roster. I mean, building through the draft kind of picking. If you get more picks in this draft later on, so just stay put at 29. Look, we haven't had a 29 first round pick in a long time.
Yeah,
Usually
it's
it's
been a
top
long
5.
time.
So just stay put. Now, if we didn't make the moves we did, yeah, go ahead and trade up and go get you a stud with draft capital. But like I said, we used that to get 2 studs already, proven vets, and Larry Tunsil and Debo Samuel. So we still got to wait for post June and July and cuts, all that stuff. So
Sure.
we're not done adding to this roster. But as far as draft goes, stay put at 29. Get you a stud in the first round that can contribute day one at least as a starter, or a sixth man off the bench, so to speak.
Yeah.
So just stay put. Don't do anything crazy. Don't go up and down. Just stay put.
Good question here from Potato RU. Is that what that is? Potato
Sure.
RU12. Will we do a mock draft simulator starting next week? I mean, mock drafts. You're going to get sick of us doing these mock drafts, but they are so much fun to be able to do either trading or who we're going to take, all of that. And of course, don't forget, we haven't figured out the details, but the night of the draft, we've always, since we've been a show for 4 years now, we have always done a live show to see, to talk about the draft. And then once we get to the commander's pick, then, we obviously react and then talk about it. We're not sure how we're going to do it this year because they're at pick 29.
Right.
And that pick is probably going to happen, if it happens, at like 11:30 at night, something like that. And then if we get there and then they ended up trading back, then the whole show's going to be so disappointing that we won't even be able to react to a pick. But it just goes to show you we don't know what Adam Peters is going to do in this draft, and everybody sort of has a different feeling. I know Locked On doesn't want to draft back or trade back to get more guys because, as he says here, 2 Brandon Colemans is not 1 Trey Hendrickson.
Exactly.
Right? You're going to move up for a guy if you think he's Trey Hendrickson. But if you move back, you're going to get 2 Brandon Colemans instead of it. So I get both sides of it. I'm kind of on the fence with it myself. It does seem like this group is sort of hell-bent on winning now by the trades that they made and the draft picks that they've given up. They've given up, since the trade deadline last year, they've given up 7 draft picks over the course of the next 2 years. That's a lot. Now they got 2 back, but still they lost 5 draft picks in 2025 and 2026 due to trades for veterans. So they're making a run now. So you might see that trade up scenario. Right. So Trev, let's get to the edge guys that we are sort of looking at here. Okay. We know this. We know Abdul Carter from Penn State. He's a top 5. He gone. He's not going to be around when Washington is picking. Let's just say, for the sake of this discussion here on Ref the District, 4 weeks before the draft, let's say every other edge rusher is available.
Okay.
When Washington picks at 29. That's not going to be the case. I totally understand it. Yeah. But basically what we're saying, and I want to hear from everybody in the chat as well, who's your basically number 2 edge rusher that you can see would be a good fit for Washington?
Number 2.
After Abdul Carter.
I like the guy from Marshall, Green.
Oh, Mike
He,
Green.
yeah, Mike Green. He led the nation with 17 sacks, I believe. He's a stud. You didn't hear about him much because he's playing for Marshall, the Thundering Herd.
Sure.
I don't know if they won a lot of games or not, but he was producing on the field. Game tape don't lie. If we can't get him, go with that Donovan guy from Boston College. I
Yeah.
think who was like right behind him with like 16 and a half sacks this past season. Once again, didn't hear much about him because it's Boston College football. But still, at the same time, they put their best product on film. I mean, led the nation in sacks, second in nation in sacks, probably those two guys. So I'm going to go with Mike Green or the Donovan guy. I don't know too much about Landon Jackson. Is that the alopecia guy, Landon Jackson?
That's a fair question.
Is
Somebody's
that the
going to
light
have to
skin? I think it might be. If it is, then
the
yeah.
alopecia guy. Is that what he's going
Is
to be
that
known as?
him? I don't know if it's alopecia, but he did something. Oh no, he
Yeah.
wasn't the alopecia guy, but he was the one who was doing the bag drills at one time. That was like really dramatic. And
Oh
like
yeah.
slow.
Oh yeah.
The bag drills. I think that's him. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, you might be right on the whole alopecia deal as I look at his photo. So yeah, so that's probably your guy. Everybody is saying, yep, he definitely is. Hermit Rob says, yep, he is definitely that same guy.
Okay.
I like both of those choices. I like Mike Green. I think he has a lot of upside. The one thing that I noticed when watching him is he seems to be a guy who is a guy who hunts the big play.
Yeah.
That he's not necessarily what's the word that they always use to say, this is the play that you need to do no matter what, do it.
Yeah.
Right? He doesn't seem that be that type of guy. He's like, I'm going to go make a splashy play, even if that's not my responsibility. Disciplined is the word that I'm looking for with Mike Green. I don't know that he is that guy.
Right.
But there are plenty of other guys out here who I really like. James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee is an absolute stud. But my favorite, Trev, and there are guys that are athletic freaks. Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M has a RAS score of 9.99.
Yeah.
The third best RAS score.
That's important to us.
Since they've been doing RAS scores in the history of edge rushers.
Wow.
So you got that. But I like the dude from Ohio State. I just call him JTT because I can't pronounce his last name. JT Timalana Lululo.
Yeah.
Right. If he comes to Washington, I'll learn to pronounce his last name. Right. Like we do with Igbenogany. Right.
Yeah.
We didn't know it for the longest time. Then dude started making plays. Then we had to learn how to say his last name. So now we
signed him, so we definitely have to know his name now.
Yeah, that's right. So I like JTT from Ohio State. He's an athletic freak. He's very disciplined in how he plays. He understands. He's very good at reading what's happening when there's misdirection going on, when there are guards that are pulling. He reads that very well. He plays the run very well. He's got an unlimited motor. Trev, he averaged 18 points per game in high school playing basketball. That was only 3 years ago.
Dude's a freak.
So that's the guy. That's the guy I want of those that are available. What about, for example, and I mentioned Shamar Stewart already. Michael Williams from Alabama. Do you know a whole lot about Michael Williams?
I do not.
No. I mean, he's Alabama.
Yeah.
He's an edge guy.
Yeah.
He hasn't been very productive.
Right.
But everything else that he's got going on in the measurables, right? His RAS score is another one of those that's off the charts. But one thing, Trev, that Nathan and I talked about in the video that we put out there is that Adam Peters has a specific type when it comes to edge rushers, right? He likes them 6'5". He likes their arm length to be at least 36 inches, and he likes their when they do the 40, their 10-second time on the 40, the split at to be at 1.3. And even with all those freaks with their RAS scores, none of those guys meet that criteria. All that criteria. Nobody has those 36-inch arms. That's why I tend to think that he's not going to take an edge in this draft. So, Trev, then the question becomes, if he doesn't take an edge, who's starting defensive ends for the Commanders? If they don't make any additions to the defensive roster, who are your starting defensive ends?
Dorrance Armstrong.
And exactly.
Everybody else is a rotational, situational type 1 year guy.
For all those who are listening via audio, Trev kind of looked skyward as in to say, I have no idea.
I mean, I was going to say probably Cleveland Farrell, but maybe Dietrich Wise.
Jacob Martin, Dietrich Wise.
Yeah.
That's your starting defensive end.
Not very good. We got a lot of run-stopping defensive ends.
Yeah.
We didn't get any guys that go after the quarterback.
Yeah, so as Gus says, Farrell and Armstrong, which ain't great.
Okay, so maybe he doesn't take an edge because maybe he knows that there's a premier edge coming available soon, like post-June cuts or whatever that deadline is.
Sure. I mean, but you can't predict that, though.
You can't predict that, but also you can't sleep on that because no one saw Laramie Tunsil being a Washington Commander ever.
That's true.
He just poof out of nowhere.
All of a sudden. Yeah.
So he might know. He might have an inkling about. I'm pretty sure he does. It's Adam Peters. I trust him. If he doesn't want to take an edge, don't take an edge.
Sure.
I trust him.
Yeah, and there are those who are talking quite a bit about Kinlaw. Kinlaw possibly being this whole elephant edge is what they're calling it. And I researched elephant edge. Some guy sort of made this up.
I've never heard of elephant edge.
Right. Some guy, not that he made it up. I don't know. I'm not saying he made it up, but it's just some guy who put it out there that Kinlaw may be an elephant edge guy, basically meaning a defensive tackle playing in the edge position to stop the run. But that just means you're not getting after the quarterback.
I was going to say, we ain't got time to keep moving these guys around to play elephants and zebras and giraffes. We just need a true pass rusher.
I believe that. I believe that it's something that at some point this year has to be addressed.
It has to.
They have to bring somebody in, even if it's a guy who's basically that's his job, a Khalil Mack type.
I know,
who's up there a little bit older, right? And who can just get after the quarterback and can't be out there for all 3 downs kind of guy.
Go get Hassan. Oh, Hassan Reddick's already gone. See, everybody's gone.
It's going to be tough. I'm going to pull my hair out. Look,
I am too.
The offense was a top 5 offense. And they addressed wide receiver 2 and left tackle on offense.
Now we're done. We're good. Anything else is a luxury.
The worst part of the defense, the 30th ranked against the run. You really haven't addressed that other than Kinlaw, but you replaced Kinlaw from Jonathan Allen. So are you really upgrading to this great run defense all of a sudden with Kinlaw? Is all of a sudden going to change? Kinlaw replacing John Allen is also automatically going to take you from being a 30th ranked run to a top 15, top 20 run against the run. That's what I'm worried about, Trev, is I don't feel like they've addressed the biggest weakness on the team. That was a top 5 offense with Noah Brown and De'Ami Brown being and Olamide Zaccheaus being 3 of your 4 best receivers. And yet you addressed it. You addressed it with Deebo Samuel. Jaden Daniels was middle of the pack in sacks and pressures.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a historic season running this offense,
Mhm.
you address left tackle.
You did.
While that is a weakness, not the team's biggest weakness. And they
Now it
just
is.
haven't addressed the
No.
biggest weakness on this team.
We let them all slip away.
Yeah. So it looks like that's why we think they're going to draft at 29 or wherever it's going to be, that they're going to draft an edge. Now, personally, I think they are going to trade back, most likely. And so, and again, the poll's in there. If you haven't checked out the poll, make sure you do and make sure you get in your vote. Again, we're at 55% say they're going to move down to acquire more picks. But we're going to talk about the value of trading back or trading up here when we get to the game, which we're going to get to, Trev, right now. Welcome back to episode number 218 of Ref the District. I'm the Stoner. That's Trev. Nathan is not here. If you weren't here at the very beginning, he had an ER visit last night, still not feeling very well. So make sure you give a shout out to Nathan if you are just now checking this out. He will be back next week. We'll probably have some additional content as the draft gets closer. Of course, we are live every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 218 consecutive weeks, and we're brought to you by Bet Online here on the Believe Network. All right, so trade back, trade up, stay at 29, either way. I'm going to give you a little backstory because I'm going to show a chart here, Trev. We're going to show a chart.
Yeah, I was trying to see that chart earlier, and I was like, I don't understand what the hell.
It's kind of hard to understand, but I'm going to explain it. But it comes from this. If you remember back in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, and Jimmy Johnson took over the Dallas Cowboys. He was the general manager and he was the head coach. And if you remember his drafts, they were incredible. His drafts, that was the nucleus of how he built the Dallas Cowboys, winning 3 Super Bowls in 4 years, 3 Super Bowls in 5 years, whatever it was, under Jimmy Johnson, right? The nucleus of the team were draft picks. Think about on offense. Aikman, Emmett, Daryl Johnston, Michael Irvin, Alvin Harper, Jay Novacek, Eric Williams, Mark Stepnoski, Mark Tuinei. I was living in that area at the time.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Right. And on defense, your Russell Marylands and Leon Letts and Ken Norton Jr. and Darren Woodson. You got Hall of Famers all over the place. They were all drafted by Dallas. So, of course, how did Dallas do it? How did Jimmy Johnson do it? Did he just watch tape and say, I want that guy? No, he built a point value system and figured out what every draft pick, all 7 rounds, what every single draft pick was worth. And so if you're going to trade up or trade down, you look at this chart that he built and decide what all of these picks are worth. What is the value of each draft pick in every single round? And that's how you decide what's a fair trade and what's not a fair trade. That doesn't always happen, right? Some guys get desperate and they might not get the value that they wanted to. Or some guys who are not as desperate get greater value when they make a trade up or trade down. So I'm going to share this here right in the middle as Trev and I sort of look at this. But basically, if you look on the very left of the screen, if you're watching this, if you can see this, great. If you can't, let me know. Maybe I'll try to make it a little bit bigger. But I think it's pretty easy to see. If you're looking on mobile, if you're watching on mobile, then it might be a little bit more difficult, but let us know because I don't want to keep it up there if you have a hard time seeing it, because the other option, of course, is seeing Trev and I, and that's way better than looking at a chart. All right, Trev. So basically, if you look at the left side, Washington first round, pick 29.
Yeah.
That just goes straight across on that first line. And you go all the way across, you see Buffalo. Buffalo has a 30th pick. So if you were to trade the 29th pick for Buffalo's 30th pick, the value that you should get back goes all the way to the right, and it would be Buffalo's 5th round, which is
I'm good.
169. So to move back one spot, then you would pick up, the value is you should pick up a 5th rounder if you move back one spot. And then just go down to the next one. You see 129. If you move back 2 spots for Kansas City and move back to the 31st pick, then your value is that 31st pick plus a 4th rounder, their 4th rounder, which is 133. That's basically how it looks. And then you see the differential right there. It'll show you how much better it is if you make that trade, or how it's devalued, if you will. Okay, so let's look at that first one. If you make that trade with Buffalo, the difference is a 3.8 in the positive. That would actually be a good trade for Washington.
Interesting.
Right? If you see a negative in front of it, then that's not necessarily a good trade.
Yeah.
That's how that difference works right there.
Okay.
So the higher the value in the difference between the value of your pick and the value of what you're getting back, the difference between that lets you determine whether or not that's a good pick.
Yeah.
So let's go down a few lines and let's look where you see, where you see New Orleans. No, right above New Orleans, you see Chicago.
Yeah.
If you were to trade the 29th pick to Chicago for their 2nd round pick, which is the 39th pick, their 5th round pick, which is the 148, and a future 3rd, that gives you great value. Gives you a positive 18.3. That would be considered an excellent trade on Washington's side. And then I'll do one more. If you go all the way down to Green Bay.
Yeah.
If you were to trade the 29th pick and you take Green Bay's 2nd, which is the 54th, or 3rd, 87th, 4th, 124th, 5th, 159th, and a future 4th, it's actually showing you that that's not a great trade.
Yeah, it's not.
The value is just not there. As Locked On said earlier, 2 Brandon Colemans is not equal to a Trey Hendrickson.
No, it is not.
Right? Brandon Coleman being a 3rd rounder. I think 3rd round, I think overall it was 69th pick. So this is just kind of the chart. This is a Jimmy Johnson chart. This is taken from Jimmy Johnson's chart. He valued pick 1, 1st round, pick 29. The value of that is 640 points. The value of Buffalo's first rounder, pick 30, and their 5th rounder, pick 169, the value of that is 643.8. And so the difference is in your favor. And that's sort of how you figure out the value of whether or not the pick, the trade down, is worth it to you. And sort of as Locked On said earlier, and I have it in my start here, value is determined on whether or not the picks become a contributor to your team, not the picks you receive in the trade. That's fair to an extent. That's how you look at it 2 years, 3 years down the road. But during the draft, the value of making those trades, that's what this chart shows. So, having said that, do you still like the idea of trading back to acquire more picks? You're muted. How did you mute yourself?
Always do that. Stay where you are. Don't trade back. I mean, yeah, more draft picks sounds cool on paper and it sounds cool on a microphone, but you're really risking losing out on the players you want to help make your team better and just getting duds and potentially turning them into studs, and that's a whole nother project. We're not bringing no more Ricky Strombergs in here.
Hmm.
We're not bringing no more Braden Daniels in here. No more
Jayden
Chris.
Daniels was a 4th rounder. Worst pick ever. Stromberg
No,
was a 3rd rounder.
yeah, exactly. And they had me suckered in. He's gonna be the next center of our team, but nah. And no more Chris Pauls. No offense, like no. That's what you get if you trade back and get more draft picks. This is a deep draft, which means only because first, second rounds out of the top 15, you can still get some studs.
Hmm.
That's what they mean by a deep draft. But
Yeah.
as far as getting more picks, just stay at 29. Like I said, we've
Yeah.
never had this late of a pick. Now, who knows? Come draft day, something might happen where your whole plan gets turned upside down and you end up having to trade back. Then
Yeah.
okay. But if you just go in there and make us all wait till 11:30 just to trade back, and it better be for a good reason. I don't know. It's just risky. Just stay at 29.
All right, Trev. Locked On says the 29th pick the last few years, Tyler Guyton, Brian Breezy, Cole Strange, Eric Stokes. Those guys aren't helping football teams. Oh, these guys aren't difference makers.
No, I know they're not, but this is also a different draft class. I mean, it's easy to say in last year's draft class because every draft is different.
Yeah.
Tyler Guyton was projected. I mean, we even thought we wanted him to be an OL for our team.
Absolutely.
He fell and went to, I think, Dallas or somewhere like that and ended up not being that great.
Yeah.
Cole Strange is okay. So, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but that was
I
all.
think Cole Strange. Did he get cut already? Or did he
I think so.
To get cut or something?
I remember seeing
I remember seeing something.
Yeah.
Gus, our resident researcher, Gus, did Cole Strange get cut already? Go ahead.
Yeah, I understand, but just stay at 29 just to see what happens.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. And here's a question. This is I'm gonna challenge everybody to think about this with an open mind. If you look, Trev, at the 2024 draft, which is all we have to go by with Adam Peters.
Right.
We can look at San Francisco, but he was not the man making the final decision.
Right.
If you look at the 2024 draft right now, as it stands, taking Jaden Daniels out of it, just because this is an exercise, you can't take him out of it. But for this exercise, take him out of there. How would you grade the Commanders' 2024 draft? Starting today, not what can he do, what can these guys do later. The 2024 season and the 2024 draft, how would you grade it?
A B?
B's pretty high. B's pretty high.
I mean, just because what we've been through in the recent drafts, outside of the Chase Youngs and the Deron Paynes and the Montez Sweats and the Dwayne Haskins RIP, and the exception of Terry McLaurin, no one else contributes at all to some extent, if you think about it. Brandon Coleman, yeah, we were kind of out of him, but he was serviceable as a rookie. He wasn't terrible. It wasn't like, oh my God, 3rd round. It was like, okay, 3rd round left tackle, got some starts, handled his business a little bit, but also got his business handled. Now he's a project, which is cool though. It's fine because we got Laramie Tunsil's going to show him the ropes and all this and that. So that's cool. Sanistrill, that goes without saying. Ben Sinnott, kind of disappointed he didn't contribute the year 1, but a coming year 2 he will be there. Same with Luke McCaffrey. He contributed, but not the way we thought. He became more of a punt return guy for us and an actual wide receiver for us. So that might be his niche for there, but he contributed. Yes.
Yep. Absolutely.
Who else? Who else we got? Who else did we draft? Jordan McGee. He contributed on special teams. I mean, he didn't light up the scoreboards or highlights, but he contributed. Tyler Owens as well. When, outside of the ankle injury, he was becoming a special team stud and getting his name mentioned. So, yeah, a B. I mean, a lot of these guys were taking, their camp stuff and kind of translated to the field a little bit, or, we're kind of the guy in their respective schools and we picked. But like I said before, it'd be like outside of Chase Young and then it's like Ricky Stromberg,
right.
Jaden Daniels, these guys who aren't playing at all. unless it's preseason or we're 4-13.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
So I'll
Uh,
give it a B.
and I think that's fair. I think that's a little high. Look,
Maybe.
Sanistril is a stud, and
Yes.
so he kind of skews it as well. And I know it's not fair to judge these guys at this point, but that's just what we're doing,
Yeah.
just to kind of talk about it. But what we have to be careful of is sitting here and putting all of our eggs in the Adam Peters is a great drafter. He's a great evaluator of talent. We have one draft class, and we can't say that yet. We can't say it either way. We can't say he's good or bad.
Bro,
Right?
yes, we can.
If we can't grade the draft class yet, then how can we give him say he's great at what he does?
I think we can because we just went to the NFC Championship with that draft class.
Yeah.
Not the whole draft class, but a lot of some contributing parts.
Sure. There were a few contributing parts. And look, Jaden Daniels, as somebody said, skews it, right? I mean, that obviously makes it great, right? Gives you I don't care if they drafted Jaden Daniels and nobody else, it's an A+ draft, right? But we can't evaluate Adam Peters yet.
Right.
If you say you can't evaluate a draft after 1 year, fine. We can't evaluate Adam Peters' success as the man in charge making the draft picks yet. So we can't just blindly say, I don't care, whatever he does, it's going to work.
Yeah. I just trust him more.
You definitely do. You definitely do, because based on his free agent pickups, those all hit. I mean, almost he had like a 95% hit rate on his free agents. But his draft picks, we don't know yet, so we can't just blindly give him everything. But we do know how he operates, and so the chances are that they're going to have a better draft class than his predecessor. And if you look at his predecessor, as you mentioned a little bit earlier, Trev, how many guys are left from 4 years of drafting? How many are left on the team? Well, I think there's more than that. I mean, you got Cosme.
Okay.
Cosme's a second rounder.
Percy Butler.
And by the way, Cosme was re-upped. I think he was re-upped by the previous regime, though, wasn't he? Or was he re-upped by Peters?
Yeah. Peters gave him that bag.
That was just last year that he was re-upped. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you have Cosme, you got Percy Butler.
Yep.
You've got B-Rob.
Yeah.
You've got B-Rob, Percy Butler, Cosme, Quan Martin.
Oh yeah, Quan.
That's another one. Give me some more. Give me some more in terms of who's drafted
here?
that are still. Oh, John Bates.
Yeah.
Right. Bates was of course re-signed. So
that's it.
That's it, man. That's it. And that shows you how difficult it is to do that job. So it's tough. Again, we have to be careful about just blindly trusting Adam Peters and say, I know he's going to make the correct decision, because we don't know that yet. We know he made the correct decision at quarterback at 2.
Damn right.
Jaden Daniels over Drake May, over McCarthy, over Penix, over Bo Nix.
Over who? No. Should have been over Caleb Williams, but thank God it wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. But here's another thing. On the trading back scenario, if you remember in 2022 draft, right? We all remember 2022. Washington had the 11th pick. And they traded back. So they decided, okay, I don't want Jameson Williams. I don't want Chris Olave. I don't want Kyle Hamilton. Right? I'm going to trade back and I'm going to acquire 4 picks. And I'm going to get Jahan Dotson. And then I'm going to pick B-Rob, Cole Turner, Sam Howell with those extra picks.
What are we doing?
What are we doing? That's how trading back, again, back to Locked On Laws comment earlier, those guys back there, that's more numbers, but that doesn't necessarily mean quality.
Not at all.
I mean,
Not at
remember
all.
when it happened and we all thought we
Jahan Dotson.
we ripped off New Orleans with that? They
Yeah.
got Olave.
And we went
right?
after day 2, Jahan Dotson that had a one-handed catch that blew everybody's Twitter feed.
I tell you, Trev, I'm gonna say it. I'm
Okay.
usually pretty good at
You are.
these draft picks and whether or not they're gonna work out.
Yeah.
I was wrong on Jahan Dotson. I thought he was gonna be awesome.
He started off great. He was leading rookies in touchdowns. He was a good second option. Yeah. I was like, yo, he's nasty. And then all of a sudden it was like, you gotta go.
You gotta go. And he's done nothing. And he's done nothing in Philadelphia.
He has a Super Bowl ring.
He does, but I think he caught a pass in the Super Bowl as well, but he hasn't done anything. Trev, let's not get carried away. I could have caught that pass.
Same.
I would have been open on that one.
Yeah.
But it's just a cautionary tale that moving back for the numbers, for the value of moving back, does not necessarily mean you're going to improve your team.
No.
So if you're going to stay at 29, then one of these defensive ends, these edge guys, is probably the pick. Let's go to what the next idea is. What are you giving up to move up to 15?
See, bro,
to take, let's just say, Shamar Stewart. You're not doing that at all. You're not moving up at all. What if you're going to move up for Abdul Carter?
Okay.
All right. Okay. So what will it take for you
to move
up to Abdul Carter?
He's going to go top 5.
All right. What are you giving up for that?
You got to give up the house. You have to.
You going to do a Ricky Williams, Mike Ditka, Ricky Williams trade? You give up your entire draft to move up? Would you do that?
No.
Why not? You'd be giving up you'd be giving up a first, a second, a fourth, a sixth, and a seventh. You definitely do that. I'd give up every single pick in this year's draft to move up to get Abdul Carter.
So here's okay.
Do you want 3 Brandon Colemans or do you want 1 Abdul Carter?
I want 1 Abdul Carter, but just because we've been plagued so many years.
Yeah.
The last edge rusher that we got in the top 5 is gone. And he is now on his 3rd team, I think, and they just gave him a bag for his 4th
But
year.
What does that have to do with Abdul Carter?
I don't want to mortgage my future for a really, really awesome stud-like college athlete, and then we get another Chase Young where he decides to do whatever he wants to do. Or he's already injury plagued, like he's already injured before the draft even happens, and people are still saying you should still draft him whether he misses a whole year or not. I'm cool on that. I don't want him. There hasn't been anybody like making head waves on the defensive side of the ball to go along with the quarterbacks like Chase Young was.
Yeah.
When Chase Young was coming out, that's all you heard was Chase Young, Chase Young, Chase Young, Chase Young. This year, you hear quarterbacks and you might hear some edges, but it's like, okay, well, once we get past all the good stuff, now we get into the edge rushers. So it's like we as the Commanders like look at the edge rusher as huge and very important. But when it comes to the draft and the college commentators and the analysts, they only care about wide receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, and then the edge might sneak in here or there too. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
just stay at 29. Other than Abdul Carter, I'm not moving up for anybody else other than Abdul Carter. That's the only way I would move up.
So having this discussion over the course of the last 30 minutes, you are now rock solid. You are locked in.
I'm locked in.
You do not want to move from 29 up.
Now, with the exception on draft day, Shamar Stewart got picked at 28, and it's like, oh, the next guy we want is further down. Then you move down, cool. But if you come in on day one with the plan of moving back no matter what,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be upset. Just
Yeah.
stay put until you see how. I mean, we do all these mock drafts, we do all this talking, and then Jahmyr Gibbs goes in the top 7 to Detroit, and no one
Right.
picked
And we're
Jahmyr
all just
Gibbs.
blown
You know what I'm
away.
saying?
No
So
idea.
it's like,
yeah.
just stay at 29.
Or Michael Penix goes number 6 or whatever it was.
Right? Yeah, just stay at 29.
What?
And then Lamar Jackson goes 30th
Right.
to the Ravens.
Michael Penix goes 6 like 5 minutes after Kirk Cousins signs with them. You're like, what?
So just stay at 29 because I have a feeling this draft is going to be crazy in the first second.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. It's just so much different for us.
I know.
Having the 29th pick. We're always just so used to it.
I haven't paid it really attention because we got our quarterback.
Yeah.
The rest is whatever.
Yeah. And it is kind of fair to say that you're getting the band back together.
Yeah.
With this team. You basically have the same team you had last year on offense and defense, but you've upgraded left tackle, you've upgraded wide receiver 2, and defensively you swapped out Harris for Kin.
Yeah.
Right? And Kinlaw for Allen. Mm-hmm. But you're essentially bringing the band back together, which is not necessarily a bad thing when you went to the NFC Championship game.
That's what I'm saying. So,
right.
And we still got more cuts to look at. More cuts are coming.
Yeah.
More signings coming. So, yeah, we'll be all right.
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
29. So, Stoner, you said since all the edge prospects don't really meet the criteria of what AP is looking for his edge rush, who do you take at what position do you take at 29 then?
Yeah, I mean, if I don't take a an edge rusher at 29 and I stay at 29, then I've got to go corner. If corner is, if there's a guy there valued at 29.
What about safety? Team Twitter put out Malachi Starks from Georgia.
Look, Trev, they can draft anybody other than quarterback at 29, and I'm going to be like, we need that. Yeah. We need him, exactly. Right? There is nothing on this team other than quarterback that you can say we're set for the next 3 years, because they're not set at any position for the next 3 years. It's amazing. Also, if you look at the contracts going forward, that at the end of this coming season, other than the rookies from this year and last year, you got about 6 to 8 dudes who are under contract in 2026. That's it. Then everybody else are rookies, and you're going to have to fill in like you've done the last 2 years with veteran guys on 1-year deals. So they have a need at every single position on this team. Amen. Other than quarterback.
Yep.
Somebody said, what about if tight end?
No. That
is a position where I would have a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, no, we're okay.
You've got 3 tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them are on multi-year deals.
Yeah.
John Bates just signed a 3-year deal, and Sinnott, who was a rookie last year, still has 3 more years on his deal.
Exactly.
So maybe tight end, I would be a little bit upset.
I would too.
But anywhere else, and I'm like, yes, we need that dude. If not this year, we need him in the future to develop and be that guy.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. We are going to talk a little bit more about corner in the next segment. However, I do want to bring up a subject while we've got everybody here that this is a surprise to Trev.
Yeah.
We're going to bring up a topic in the next segment. We got one more topic here in this segment. The next segment, we're going to do a little something called AMA. Do you know what AMA is, Trev?
The American Music Awards.
That's a fair guess, but that's not related to what we're talking about. Does anybody here know what AMA is? I'm going to give everybody a minute because the next subject we're going to talk about is not AMA related. Lockdown is always
That's
on
Gus.
top of it. I
That's
accidentally
Gus.
hit that. Ask
me anything. Is that what that is?
That's what we're going to do. So we are going to ask everybody here in the chat. You can ask us anything you want.
Oh my God.
We don't have to answer everything. But you can ask. It
I
doesn't
like
have
this.
to be
This is like
Commanders
school.
related. It
Right.
can be Commanders related, right?
Right.
It's like grab bag.
Yeah,
right?
it is. Yeah.
Go, you guys out there, give us a subject to riff on. So we'll do that, but you can ask us anything.
We should keep doing that.
We'll call it AUA. Ask us anything.
Oh,
but
yeah,
AMA is a famous, I think it was really started, I think it's a Reddit thing that people would do an AMA, and famous people, not saying we're famous, but famous people would say, okay, hey, AMA, I'm having an AMA session, and you can go on there and you can just ask them anything you want.
Ask me anything.
So as Ugo says, I'm praying that Nathan gets better soon, because it's facts. First, we're praying that he gets better soon, and it's facts. We wouldn't be doing an AMA if Nathan was here. No.
But maybe we're going to convince him to allow it soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of fun. It's kind of like a grab bag. But before we get to AMA, Trev, here's a subject I do want to talk about.
Okay.
I'm going to set it up a little bit, but everybody's going to know what I'm talking about. What did you think, Trev? I want your opinion. I want your opinion, and I want everybody else's opinion. What did you think of Mama Daniels getting in between Jaden Daniels and Juju Watkins at that game that they were all attending and watching?
Keeping it professional, doing her job. She is his agent, for y'all that don't know that.
Okay.
Outside of his mom, she's his agent. She's come out and said the boy needs to focus on football, not on that stuff right now. I think it's cool. Coming from a motherly, dominant household, same thing would happen to me. I'm used to it. I don't have a problem with it. Yep. He's 24. She's 19. People said age ain't nothing but a number. That's no big deal. But good for Miss Jackson. She's just doing the motherly thing. She's just being a mom. Now, I would have a problem if she sat down and she was like, bye, Juju. And Juju got up and leave. Now that's a problem. But she just sat down. I was like, what's up?
Yeah.
But then she left and left them there talking by themselves. So she wasn't there the whole time.
Well, what's interesting is what's portrayed in the media and what was put out there, at least at first, what was put out there is that they were sitting together. Juju and Jayden were sitting together, laughing, having a good time. And Mama saw it and came in and sat between them to split them apart. And we don't know if that's actually true. That's the magic of editing. I've been an editor for 30 plus years. I know how to do these sorts of things. And to be able to give a perception rather than what maybe actually happened. Maybe she was sitting there at the beginning.
Right.
And then she was like, hey, you guys should be sitting and talking.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave.
Got out of the way.
Exactly.
We don't know the full story. However, she has made it very clear that, like you said, that she is his agent. She is all up in his business. And so this kind of fits that narrative that she got in between and said, look, we saw it on video, Trev. We saw her say that the biggest thing that she has to protect him from is girls.
Yep.
Right? So this was like her protecting him from girls. He's 25 years old, Trev.
Yeah.
When is Mama going to get out of the way of that, if this is the case?
When he wins the Super Bowl. I bet you his mom is even like, yo, we need that.
So what if he's 32 years old? Is she still going to be cutting into his private life if he hasn't won a Super Bowl?
Yup. Moms can do whatever they want.
I like
They want.
me.
You only get one, so they'll do whatever they want for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I like me some Mama Daniels. I
Me
think she's
too.
good for him. I
Yes.
think she's definitely a little bit too involved with not necessarily with his personal life, but I think she's a little bit too involved with his professional life. I've heard
She's his agent.
stories. Right. I've heard stories though, some of the demands that she has for him over there in Ashburn. Um,
Jaden
however,
Daniels.
I think overall, I think she is great for him and his career, and I think she's doing things that that are in his best interests
For sure.
professionally. And I think she does want him more than anything to win, and not necessarily just want him to make the most money, get the best endorsements, all that other stuff that comes with the fame. I think she is more about winning than maybe most agents are.
For sure.
So I'm okay uh, with what happened in that situation, if it happened that way, the way it was perceived that she got in between the two. Thought it was funny though. I thought it was fun to play around with and watch it and see it.
Everywhere.
I think I tell you what, those two together, if they were a couple,
Yeah.
that's a pretty cool couple.
Yeah, it's a power couple. Sure.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. But then the next day or 2 days later, she blew out her knee.
Yeah,
Right?
tore ACL.
Yeah,
So sad.
that's a bummer.
Yeah, it is.
That's a bummer. But okay, just thought I would bring that up and see if you had any thoughts on Mama Daniels kind of looking like she was controlling his personal life.
Probably.
You're probably okay with it. I like me some Juju Watkins also. I think she's great for college basketball. I think she's great for the women's professional game, and she's an awesome player. And hopefully she gets that knee fixed and come back strong next year, because I believe she's a junior next year, right? So so she'll be draft eligible after next season. Yeah, WNBA draft eligible. But anyway, I thought it was kind of fun. Another story that there is zero chance we would have been able to talk about it if Papa Bear Nathan was here. Maybe Nathan is a lot like Mama Daniels. Got to keep his guy in line, right? Nathan's got to keep us in line when we get off track.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
All right. So at the beginning of the next segment in the cool down, we're going to touch just a little bit on some of the corners that we think, or whomever, what position, if Washington does not go defensive end or edge in the next round. But we're also going to do the AMA or AUA, Ask Us Anything. So get your questions ready for that. But we're going to do that here in the cool down. All right, welcome back to episode number 218 of Ref the District. I'm Corson Stoner. That's Trev over there.
Yo.
Nathan is out, not feeling well. He's probably watching, or he will definitely watch later, and we might be in a little bit of trouble come next week. But if you haven't had a chance to vote in the poll, make sure you do. It's what you want Adam Peters. What you want to see Adam Peters do in the draft: move up, move down, or stay put at 29. Trev is on record at stay at 29. I am probably on record of moving up to get a guy that you feel will make a difference from the edge. If they don't go edge, Trev, there are some corners out there that probably would fit well into Washington's defensive backfield.
Okay.
First two, they're going too high, right? Travis Hunter is going, again, top 5, top 3, whatever he ends up going, right?
Yeah.
And the kid from Michigan,
Will Anderson.
Will Johnson.
Sorry.
Yeah. You're right. Anderson Johnson. Yeah. It reminds me of this show I was watching on another side note here. The show I was watching on Paramount, I think, see if I would like it. And it had military, and it was a show based in gosh, I'm just gonna make it up, Puerto Rico. or Cuba or something. I don't know, but it was not here in the U.S. But they had a U.S. military base there, and there were like 5 different guys, U.S. military guys there, who they were talking to. It was Smith, Anderson, Williams, and Johnson, and Jackson. Those were the 5. I mean, how cliche can you get when you're talking about
No joke.
Americans and using the most American names? I mean, they
Oh,
could
yeah.
come up with any name. It's a movie, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Why did they have to go with Smith, Johnson, Anderson, Williams, and Jackson? That was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Will Johnson from
Yes.
Michigan. He's definitely
stud.
going a lot higher. But maybe someone who's going to be there and available might be the kid from Texas, Jade Barron. I think.
Oh, yeah.
Jade, I think that's right. Does anybody else have any insights into maybe a corner that might be available for Washington? If they don't go, you asked me the question. If they don't go edge, where do you want to see him go at 29?
Safety.
Safety is like high on your list.
Yeah, man. I'm not cool with Percy Butler. Will Harris is nice, but I'm not. No one's fearing that safety duo. No one's fearing Will Harris and Percy Butler. I'm sorry. Go safety. Linebacker? Because I don't think there's I don't know, man. That's tough. Linebacker's tough because you still got to wait on cuts. But are those cuts going to be really worth a damn in free agency to help go with our linebacker room? Because it's pretty small right now. Linebacker room is. We got Jordan McGee, Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, right?
Yeah. And what? Frankie Louvu's on year 2 of a 3-year deal.
So we're going to have to.
Bobby Wagner's on a 1-year deal. He's 35 years old.
Yeah, he's probably gone after this year for real.
Yeah.
So linebacker, I guess, but I don't know the linebacker class.
Yeah, you don't know well enough to say that.
Yeah, I don't. Honestly, I really don't know this class all that well, just because we have our quarterback already. So I don't know. But go safety. I'll agree with you. Corner, because I'm not sold on the corners we have. I mean, yes, I am, but also no, I'm not. I didn't want to bring back Noah I, to be honest. I just
I thought he was solid.
I mean, but I didn't want to bring him back because I want Sandistro to play his inside position more than the outside.
Sure.
Better, you know what I mean? So, but safety, corner, and maybe linebacker. Linebacker put it in like a little flop.
Well, you have just named 3 defensive players.
Yeah, dude.
You're all defense at 20.
Bro, you said we were 30th in the run. NFC Championship game. Yeah, it was the Eagles, but we let 55 points go on the board.
Yeah.
You know, we were a lot of close call games. A lot of games where we were getting gashed by the run, but thank God for Jaden Daniels. So you know what I mean? I don't want to have us to put Jaden Daniels in that kind of situation where he has to be Rookie of the Year again, his second year, because our defense is so bad.
Yeah.
So our offense is straight. Like you said, top 5 offense with De'Ami Brown, Noah Brown, Brian Robinson, an aging Austin Eckler, Zach Ertz. Top 5 offense. We don't need to add anything else. We already did.
All 5 running backs that are on the roster, not on the 53, but on the 90-man roster, all 5 running backs contracts run out at the end of the year.
Running back at 29 then.
Yeah. You might have to go running back. Who knows? Maybe all this talk about Ashton Genty, and who knows if he's really going to be a Jahmyr Gibbs, surprise top 10 pick.
Right.
Maybe he ends up falling all the way to 29, and you're like,
bro,
we need defense, but we can't pass up a talent like Ashton Genty.
So let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Mike Green at 29.
Yeah.
Or Ashton Genty at 29.
I don't hesitate. I go Mike Green.
Amen.
You just have to address this situation at edge. And I know you've been saying it, Trev. We don't know what it's going to look like in terms of who's going to be available in in the middle of training camp, at the beginning of training camp, middle of training camp, end of training camp. Noah Brown became available at a certain point in I think that was towards the end of training camp, if I'm not mistaken. I think it might have been after training camp when Noah Brown became available.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think it was
I think
in
it
that
was.
time between the end of training camp and the first game. And all of a sudden, Noah Brown becomes available. Maybe that's not good planning. That's not good planning to sit there and hope and wait.
No, it's not. But AP knows something. All these GMs know something.
I think that's fair. I think it's fair to say that that Peters and Quinn are not sitting there saying we need to get an edge in this offseason, and they never got one. I have a hard time believing that.
Yeah.
I have a hard time saying that they botched this because they haven't botched much yet.
No.
But it's for me and my sort of very basic idea of how to construct a football team from a fan's point of view. It boggles my mind that they have that huge hole at defensive end.
Yeah.
But I know they have a plan, whether it's playing Kinlaw at end or something that they see in Jacob Martin or we're going to draft a guy at 20, whatever their plan is.
Or we're going to wake up tomorrow morning and see that the Commanders made a trade for Trey Henderson, even after Cincinnati was trying to keep him and the trade was pretty much dead. Out of nowhere, here come the Commanders. It could happen.
Whatever it is, I know that they have a plan, and it's not a well, we didn't get an edge. What are we going to do now?
Yeah.
I know that ain't their plan.
No.
I know their plan all along has been to do something, and we're just not privy to it.
No.
Because we had, like you said, we had no idea about the Tunsil trade coming down.
No, I didn't even know he was available.
We had no idea that Adam Peters wanted to add a left tackle.
Oh.
We had no clue.
Yeah.
So that's why it's fun to talk about it, but these guys sure know what the heck they're doing.
They do.
All right, so let's get into this AUA. Ask us anything. So we're gonna turn the tables. How the tables have turned. Onto everybody who is here in the chat. Ask us anything. It can be sports related. It cannot be sports related. It might be Commanders. You might ask me about Michigan State basketball, and I've got some good answers. You might ask Trev, why in the hell are you a Chicago Bulls fan? Please, what is going on there?
I'm a Bulls fan because of Michael Jordan, but I don't follow him as much as I follow the Lakers now and LeBron James. That's what I do now.
So you're more of a Lakers guy now.
Yeah.
I get it. And I don't know what the heck is going on with him and Stephen A.
Bro.
I don't know what's going on between him.
I don't either, but there's more to it, supposedly.
But yeah, so we're going to challenge you all to ask us anything. In the meantime, Trev.
Yes.
Deebo Samuel came out on a podcast. I didn't see what podcast he was on, so apologies to whoever he was on the podcast with. And the question was asked to him, why was Washington one of the 5 teams on his list for getting traded to? And he said, I like winners.
Yep.
What in the hell is going on here when Deebo Samuel says, I like winners, and Washington is that team?
Bro, pretty much his whole career in San Francisco, he's been winning. He's been NFC championships or the game before or Super Bowls. He just saw us do it. He said he knew Jaden Daniels through Brandon Ayuk because they're besties.
Yeah.
And he's been watching Jayden for a while. And it's so weird to hear that somebody wants to come play for the Washington Commanders.
It is. And by the way, if you are asking an AUA or AMA, maybe put a hashtag of AMA or AUA so we know that you are asking. But I do see F Dallas's comment. I believe that's Jared who has the F Dallas moniker there, which is pretty good. And his question: are the Eagles still Super Bowl favorites, even if Saquon gets injured again this year?
No.
That's a good question. You're just right on. You're just saying no.
No. They lost too many pieces.
What did they really lose?
Darius
Tell me what they lost.
Milton Williams.
Darius Slay.
I mean,
Darius Slay was CB3 at best.
Avonte Maddox, Milton Williams.
Williams was a rotational.
And he got paid.
He got paid. Now, I think he's good.
But
he wasn't even a starter.
Brandon Graham retired. Who else? I guess that's it. Oh, Charles Gardner-Johnson, he gone too.
Right. And the right guard, Mekhi Becton.
Yeah. Okay. I still don't think they can. No. If Saquon gets injured again this year, they are not Super Bowl favorites. They can't do it without Saquon. They can't. He's literally the hump that they need to get over. They need to get over the hump. He's the piece to get over the hump of the Super Bowl, and they did.
That's a darn good football team, man.
We beat them one.
Little holes. I know people don't like to hear this, Trev.
Oh, they did lose Kenny Pickett too. So
that's true. I know people don't like to hear this, but
what are you gonna say?
Washington had no business winning that game against Philadelphia. On my list of all their games from this year, I have 3 games that they should not have won, but they did.
Chicago,
of course, the Hail Mary. That happens. It's called a Hail Mary for a reason.
Yeah.
That game against the Eagles, 2 reasons. Jalen Hurts got hurt in the first quarter and didn't play the rest of the game, and Kenny Pickett looked like freaking Joe Montana against Washington's defense. And Devontae Smith, he catches that pass, they win the game.
I know.
And it's not like it was a bad throw, or it was
an easy catch,
covered, or it was a risky play. I mean, it was just a pitch and catch, and he drops it for some reason. So they got lucky, but they won the game. Fair enough. But that's a good football team.
Okay.
And I don't see. And my third game that they should have lost was the first Giants game. Because if Malik Neighbors catches that 4th down pass, the Giants are going to probably win that game. Anyway, that's still 9 wins, still probably gets you into the playoffs. But going back, they haven't lost much of the most important part of their team, and that is the offensive and defensive line.
Yeah. They
lost an edge. They lost a rotational defensive tackle, and they lost the right guard. And of the 5 guys on the offensive line, he was the worst one.
I still don't think they do it without Saquon. They haven't. They had the same line.
Well, the year before, without Saquon, they did start 10-1. If I remember,
it's not how you start; it's how you finish.
Right. And then I don't know what happened. And then they fell off a cliff. And then they started the next year 2-2, and everyone was ready to fire the head coach. And now all of a sudden he's like the greatest head coach ever. All right. Do we have any other AMAs or AUAs? Let me see. Nope, I got that one for who would be the Super Bowl favorites then? Let's just take them out. Who would be the Super Bowl favorite? Who is the NFC favorite?
Detroit. Or the
Rams. Think Detroit is?
Or the Rams.
Whew. As Mike is asking, as Detroit the top NFC team? I'm going to, after having said all of that negative stuff about Washington last year in those 3 games, Trev.
Yeah.
I think Washington is the second or third best team in the NFC.
Yes, we are.
And they've got work to do on defense. No doubt about that. But the trades that they made, the trades that Washington made to shore up their offensive line, their wide receiver 2 and cornerback 1, let's not forget about Lattimore. That has them where they're going to push the Eagles in the NFC. And I still stand by this, though, Trev. And I said this a while back. I think you guys mocked me a little bit. They're going to have a worse record this year. They're not winning 12 games this year. However, I think they're going to be a better team than they were this past year. Does that make sense? They'll win less games, but they're going to be a better team.
No.
Than they were in the regular season.
Nope.
In the playoffs, they were amazing.
I ain't trying to hear that.
What does their record look like, Trev? I mean, their
schedule?
Their schedule look like, Trev?
Let's take a look here real quick.
Take a look at the schedule. Yam, I don't know. He says 13. I don't know what that is. We can't see it here, but where you been?
We have the opponents, but we don't have the actual schedule yet.
Yeah, just the opponents. What divisions are they playing this year?
The NFC North, is that the Bears, Lions, Packers, Vikings?
Okay, that's 3 playoff teams. 3 playoff teams are in that division. 1, 2, 3.
Who?
The Packers, the Vikings, and the Lions.
The Vikings made the playoffs?
They sure did. They only lost 2 games.
Oh, they were
or
1
3
and done,
games, maybe.
They were 1 and done in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But they won 14 games, I believe. So but that's 3 playoff teams.
No Sam Darnold. Okay. Then we have the Dolphins, the Chiefs, the Falcons.
Okay, hang on. Just go with what other divisions?
Oh, Broncos, Raiders, Chiefs, Chargers, AFC West.
AFC West. How many playoff teams were there? Chiefs?
Chiefs.
Were the Broncos in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think they were 1 and done.
5. That's 5 playoff games. All right.
Okay. And the rest is our division, and then the Falcons and the Dolphins.
So you have...
And then the Seahawks.
All right. The Falcons didn't make the playoffs. The Dolphins didn't make the playoffs. And the Seahawks didn't make the playoffs. Although all 3 of them were right there. That's why we're playing them, because they were second in their division, just like Washington was. So you have 5 playoff games. And within your division, you have Philadelphia. That's 2 more playoff games. Okay. 7 playoff games.
Okay.
This coming season.
Teams.
How many did they have in 2024? The 24 season. You had Philly, right? In 2024, you had Philly. That's 2 games.
Yeah.
You had Baltimore.
Yep.
And you had Tampa. 4.
Who else?
That's it.
That's it?
They played 4 playoff teams.
That's because our schedule before that was awful.
And they have 7 this upcoming season.
That's fine.
So they're going to regress in terms of record.
No, we're not. Yeah, we're not.
But I'm telling you, they're going to be a better football team.
We're not going to be.
They lost 5 games, Trev. They lost 5 games all year.
That's fine. We can do it again.
5 games. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Tampa. What was the 5th game that they lost?
Philly again.
No, they won one against Philly.
We lost in the NFC Championship, though.
Well, I'm talking about prior in the regular season.
Oh, we were at 12-5.
Right. The Cowboys.
Oh yeah,
lost to the Cowboys in the first game. So they only lost 5 games this past year. You think they're gonna only lose 5 or less?
Vikings don't have a quarterback. I'm not counting on J.J. McCarthy to do anything crazy after that knee injury. The Packers aren't that great. Jordan Love sucks. Let's be honest. Seattle lost Geno Smith. They don't have him anymore, right? Yeah, he went to the Raiders.
That's right. Yeah.
Denver's still young and upcoming. They can be had. They were like 9-8 last year. They weren't nothing crazy. Bo Nix had a good year, but Jaden Daniels here now. Chargers, they're yeah. I'm not
Were the
even
Chargers in the playoffs?
no.
No, okay.
They ain't been good since Brandon Staley messed them up. And who else was it? The Chiefs. They could be had. They could be had.
The Lions.
They lost Ben Johnson. We good.
They lost Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn.
Yeah.
Their quarterbacks coach.
Yeah.
They lost like
we'll be okay.
Assistant coaches.
We're gonna be okay.
Okay.
The Raiders suck. The Falcons suck. Dolphins suck.
Tom says Chargers were in the playoffs. That makes 8.
Who they lose to in the playoffs?
That's why we got here you go. Yeah. So that's 8 playoff teams this year compared to 4 this past year.
Tampa made it.
What?
Tampa made it at 9-8 because they won their division.
Right.
And
they beat Washington in the regular season.
But we beat them when it counted.
That's absolutely correct. That was another game. Probably should have lost that game if Baker Mayfield doesn't screw up a couple of times. But that's part of the game. I get it.
Yeah. It's all right.
But still, that's basically what I'm saying I'm saying I don't think the team in general is going to regress. I just think that the wins are going to regress. Everything went Washington's way last year.
It's still going to go our way, bro.
Everything went. The only thing that didn't go their way was the Zach Ertz spot against the Steelers. Otherwise,
that was just the appetizer, bro. We got the rest of the whole 4-course meal to come. We're not done.
This much we know, that as long as you've got Jaden Daniels, then anything is possible.
You're alive with JD5.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we couldn't get any action on the AMA/AUA. I think probably because Nathan came into the chat and had a couple of comments, so people got scared, right? Because Dad was watching over us and making sure that we were staying in line. But anyway, great show tonight, Trev. Again, if you missed it, Nathan is not here because he had an ER visit. And if you've ever had an ER visit, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and share this video, this content, and our channel with your friends. We really appreciate it. Had a good time talking about who they should draft at 29, especially from the defensive end standpoint. Plus, we, of course, went over some other potential players and positions that they might draft. Had a little bit of fun talking about Juju and Jayden and Mama Bear watching over her cub. That was a little bit of fun. Make sure you check us out every chance you get when we are live every single Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube. 218 consecutive weeks that we have done that. We put out content usually on Mondays. We will have, of course, starting next week during our live show, mock draft season. You want to be there for mock draft to help us make the picks, and then, of course, to be able to grade the picks. Appreciate everybody, of course, who is in here. Uptown, F Dallas, Yam, Locked On, Gus. I know I can't name everybody, but we appreciate everybody who did check us out. We are a proud member of the Believe Network. And Trev, we are, of course, sponsored by Bet Online. So, Trev, until next time,
stay away from Juju Watkins.
Be a fan.